Pimples a problem? If so, stay tuned because on today's episode, I'm going to cover how to get rid of pimples ASAP. Welcome to the Korean Beauty Show, where we're talking all things Korean skincare, makeup, and more. If you want to learn about the hottest trending products and ingredients straight from South Korea, then this is the podcast for you. Each week, we'll be diving in to take a look at the latest trends, as well as all the tips and tricks you need to perfect your K-beauty routine. I'm your host, Lauren Lee, professional K-beauty expert and founder of Korean beauty platform Style Story. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Korean Beauty Show podcast. So today we are talking about one of my very old nemesis, pimples, and in particular, how to get rid of them ASAP K-beauty style. So I'm going to run through all of the various types of pimples and congestion that can occur so that can help you to actually identify the spot, because if you know what kind of spot you're dealing with, that will influence the kind of treatment and the kind of solution that will work the best and the quickest. So on today's episode, I'm going to delve deep into all things pimples. So stick around if that sounds like something that you're interested in. If we haven't already met, my name is Lauren Lee and I am a K-beauty expert of nearly 10 years, and I'm also the founder of Style Story, an online K-beauty platform where you can shop and discover the world of Korean skincare. So today's episode is brought to you by the brand new Jellicoe Cherry Blossom Sleeping Mask. If you are after a product that goes to work while you go to sleep, then this sleeping mask is perfect for you. It is a pink jelly textured face mask that combines plenty of skincare goodies, including sodium hyaluronate and niacinamide, and skips out on all of the nasties and is free from essential oils. You will find it on the Style Story website now, stylestory.com.au. Okay, so look, pimples are not anyone's favorite topic of conversation. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. Over the years, I think I've had pretty much every type of pimple out there. The only thing that I haven't yet had, and I probably should touch wood while I say this, is fungal acne. To the best of my knowledge, I do not think I've had fungal acne yet, but anything else that you can think of, from blackheads to nodules to cysts to, literally the full gamut, I have had all of those. So I'm going to share how to identify your spot and then also the different acne solutions that are out there, because I know this can be really quite overwhelming and it can be a source of a lot of stress, particularly when the spots are on your face. There's nothing worse than the lack of self-confidence and just the hit that your self-confidence takes when you do have a face full of pimples. And I thought this might be a timely episode coming up to the end of the year, because this time of the year is very well known to be a time of excess, a time of vice. Most of us are eating, drinking more than we normally do, and we're not always making the healthiest choices for our skin and our body. Maybe not taking our makeup off after a night out, maybe overindulging a little bit too much in the sweet gooey stuff. So that does play havoc on our skin, and pimples can tend to be more of a problem at this time of year than usual. But if you have skin like mine, pimples basically stick around all year. So these tips can help at any time of the year, but particularly if you are noticing a big influx of pimples, hopefully you will find some gold in today's episode. All right, so a quick refresher on types of pimples. The first one is whiteheads. So this is your classic pimple. It's basically a raised bump that has a white head. They're the kind of ones that make me really just want to squish and squeeze them because they look so juicy and you just don't want it on your face. It's the kind of pimple that people are like, oh, you've got a pimple. And you're like, Okay, thank you. So you get these when your pores are clogged with oil, dirt, and dead skin cells. So my go-to when I have a whitehead is pimple patches, especially the hydrocolloid ones. They are super effective against whiteheads, and they basically just suck all of the gunk out of them. And the reason being is that hydrocolloid, that material, it acts as basically it attracts moisture to it. So it sucks all the gunk up out of the pimple itself and then captures it in the gel casing that is the hydrocolloid. So they are the best thing for whiteheads that I found. They really just flatten them, take the gunk out of them. If you've got a really big spot, you might need to apply more than one. And don't pull the pimple patch off too early either. Otherwise you can risk sort of sensitizing your skin, and you may also interrupt the treatment, which means that the gunk is only halfway out. So then you end up with some on the patch and some on your finger, and it's just a little bit messy. So keep them on until basically the patch turns white. And then you know that all of the gunk from the pimple has been sucked up by the patch, to use the technical terminology. All right, before I get on to the next type of skin congestion, I'm going to quickly read out one of the reviews that was left for the podcast, and this is from Dean Reed in the USA. Love K-Beauty, 5 stars. Thank you, Lauren, for providing an informative platform for my new love, K-Beauty. I love Lauren's soothing voice and accent and have learnt so much. I just wish I had more episodes to go through. Oh, that is so lovely. And I don't have an accent, you do. I always think it's funny when, people think people from other countries have an accent. But yes, technically our Aussie accent, it is a little bit different from the other accents out there. I always love listening to people that have different accent from me. So I'm glad that you are enjoying my Aussie accent. Okay, so the next type of congestion that I had on my hit list were blackheads. Now, I'm pretty sure most of us know what blackheads look like. Basically, there is a dark color on the surface of the skin in a little spot. So they basically they occur the same way as whiteheads, but in the case of blackheads, the pore hasn't closed up. So whatever's clogging the pore oxidizes on the surface of the skin, and that's what gives it that dark kind of color. So when it comes to treating this kind of thing, skincare acids and clay masks are the best thing that I've found to help. So by acids, I'm talking about your AHAs, your alpha hydroxy acids, your BHAs, your beta hydroxy acids, and if you have sensitive skin, your PHAs, your polyhydroxy acids. So all of those kind of products can really, really help, and they basically just help lift up the gunk and grime and dead skin cells that are clogging the skin surface and flush them out so that you don't get this material clogging the pore, basically. Clay masks are another really, really great way to help improve congested skin. So a clay mask twice a week is probably more than sufficient for most skin types, maybe up to 3 times a week if you're super oily. The other little hack that I have for you guys, if you do have a clay mask handy, you can spot treat with your clay mask as well. So by that I mean, rather than applying the whole mask to your face, over your whole face, you can actually just take a little bit of the clay and put it onto an individual spot. So if you have something really juicy, you can put it on overnight and it will help dry it out. So that's just a little hack. If you don't have any pimple patches on hand and, a little mound pops up overnight, just pop some clay onto him overnight. And then when you wake up in the morning, you can wash it off and it should really have taken it down and dried out the spot. So that's another way to get a little bit more bang for your buck with a clay mask. Now, the next guy I had on my list was pustules. So the name itself tells you the kind of beast we're dealing with here. They contain pus in pustules. It's not a nice word, but basically they occur when you're dealing with an infection and your body produces more white blood cells. But in layman's terms, it's a combination of dead white blood cells and liquid. And so these spots are actually infected. This is an infection. So they may look like your standard whitehead, but they're not. And oftentimes they will be sore. So spot treatments and products that dry out the spot are the way to go here. Meson has a product called Sense Out Spot Blemish, and it's basically a solution that is pink and yellow, and you dip a little cotton swab into it all the way down to the bottom of it and then pull it out and apply that on the spot. And it's really good for these sort of infected ones. These ones, you can have some success with just normal hydrocolloid pimple patches, but rather than the drug-free ones like Subi Perfect Pimple Patch, for these pustule ones, I would recommend something medicated. And by that I mean something that has like an active ingredient in it. So Some by Me does have some pimple patches like that, and they are what I would suggest to use on a pustule rather than just a clean pimple patch. So that's just a little hack there. Now the next one is cysts, so cystic acne. These lie beneath the surface of your skin and they are painful. So painful. I have had cystic acne before and I can still remember how deep they were I used to get them all over my cheeks and just how sore they felt, like really so sore. So the bad news is that with cystic acne, you really will need to go and see a doctor or a dermatologist first to confirm whether it is actually cystic acne, and also because this type of acne often does require medical assistance to fully heal. And unfortunately, this is the type of acne that leaves really bad scarring. So if you suspect that you do have cystic acne, don't try and treat it by yourself. Go and get a proper diagnosis if you possibly can, and then try and get some medical assistance with that, because I learned brutally from firsthand experience trying to just treat it on my own when I was a teenager that unfortunately I did leave it too long and ended up with acne scarring. And once you've got acne scarring, that is a real battle to try and repair that skin because it's just so low down it's so deep in the dermis. It can be quite difficult to treat. So cysts, I would not muck around with if you possibly can avoid it. I know it's not possible for everyone to get to a doctor or a dermatologist, but if it is at all possible, that is my recommendation for you. Okay, so some tried and true pimple fixes in the K-beauty world that the team and I at Style Story always seem to have on hand are, number one, like I mentioned, Meson's Essence Blemish Out Pink Spot. So this product is actually designed by dermatologists. It's a double layer spot treatment and it works as an exfoliator and also to reduce inflammation. So usually you might need to apply it on consecutive nights. So one night might not be enough, but 2 nights should be. And then by that stage, your pimples will be on their way out. If you do have these sort of pustules or inflamed lesions, definitely try that out. Now, another product that has been super popular since it was released is CosRx's AC Collection Ultimate Spot Cream. And this one can also help your skin bounce back from acne as well. It's got a blend of zinc oxide, calamine, aloe vera, and Centella asiatica, so cica, and they basically work to control excess sebum and then remove dead skin cells without irritation. So that is a little spot cream that I would recommend looking into if you have spots or you have recently had spots. It can just help everything move on and repair itself a little bit quicker than if you had left it alone. The other thing that we all love is obviously pimple patches. So I mentioned Some by Me's ones, the medicated ones for your inflamed spots. If you just have regular normal whiteheads, then Subi Perfect Pimple Patches are the best-selling product on Style Story and have been basically for the whole of 2020. So they work as a protective barrier on pimples and assist your skin to, heal itself. Basically, you are not tempted to pick at the spots while you've got a patch on because it's out of sight, out of mind. They're really thin and barely visible. So So that makes them perfect for pimples in hard to reach places, like the side of your nose. If you get pimples in awkward places, that normally the thick, bulky pimple patches won't stick on there very well. So these ones are perfect for that. So that is basically the topic that I wanted to cover with you guys today. But I think I will just add in a few more thoughts here, because as someone that has had quite severe acne myself in the past as a teenager, there is a limit to the results that skincare products alone can achieve. And that is especially the case if you're dealing with a medical condition like cystic acne. Cystic acne is not just a couple of pimples. It's not just a few spots. It is a medical condition. So don't be afraid to seek medical treatment if your acne is not getting any better or if it's getting worse. Like I mentioned, unfortunately, the bigger and deeper the spots, the bigger the scars they will leave, and they are just tricky to get rid of. So, if you're thinking, oh, well, I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want to waste money. If you're thinking about how much it costs to then go out and get laser treatments and needling treatments and all of that down the line to repair your acne scarring, you are far, far better off to spend the money to go to a dermatologist in the first place, because all of those kind of lasers and treatments run sometimes into the thousands of dollars. So it can get really quite expensive. From my own experience, I know that in many cases, your GP, your local doctor, will be able to prescribe something for you, whether that's antibiotics or topical products, and they can help. But if it doesn't clear up, then you'll probably be looking at something even stronger like Roaccutane. I think it's called Accutane in the States, and that is a prescribed medication in Australia that can only be prescribed by dermatologists. So that's just a little word on, if you really feel like your spots are just getting worse and worse, or they are of the cystic variety, definitely don't be afraid to go and seek a proper professional medical opinion. The other caveat I would say is, if your pimple treatments don't seem to be having any effect on your spots and the spots are itchy as well, then don't rule out the possibility of fungal acne. I talked about fungal acne in episode 27. And if you missed that episode, basically the need to know here is that even though it's called fungal acne, it's not actually technically acne. It is a type of yeast overgrowth. So it's caused by too much yeast growing on the skin, and then you will break out in these little bumps that look very similar to acne, which is why it's been coined fungal acne, but is actually a condition called Malassezia folliculitis. So there is a different treatment regime that doctors will prescribe for you if you do have fungal acne. So they're just a couple of little caveats, I guess, that I would like to make on any topic of acne and skincare. I think there is a big difference between people that just get the odd pimple if they have, not been managing their diet that well, or people that get maybe hormonal breakouts once a week. There is a difference between that and cystic acne, and having had both, I can definitely tell you that is the case. Don't feel despair if the products that other people say are working for them are not working for you. If there's a medical reason for why that's happening, then you're not going to get the same results, I guess, from the exact same products. So I would like to know, have you tried any of these pimple remedies? Are you afflicted by pimples normally or more so at this time of the year? I'm always open to have a chat on Instagram. I am at lauren.kbeauty. This is a topic that I know very, very well, having been through it, having lived through it all myself. So I really do feel for anyone that's going through pimples, acne and things like that. I actually think that one of the reasons that I have gotten so far into skincare and obviously dedicated my life to K-beauty is partly to do with the experience that I had as a teenager. I found it really, really confronting. And back in those days, skincare was not like a cool thing. It wasn't a fun thing to do. So to have to go and see a dermatologist and, you know, be using all of these products, you know, the products that I had to use as a teenager that were prescribed to me now seem to be all the rage on like Instagram. And I'm just like, oh, I can't even deal with the thought of, you know, putting some of this stuff on my face again, because it just reminds me of like when I had acne. I'd prefer to like use something else just because I was so triggered by it. So I understand that this is a topic of conversation that can be really personal and, you know, traumatic for a lot of people. So if that is you, then you're not alone. And yeah, if you ever want to come and have a chat, I have been there, bought the t-shirt. There is life on the other side, but unfortunately it may not be as quick a fix for you as it is for some people. So just keep that in mind as well when you're talking about acne and when you're researching products and things like that, that there are different types of acne, there are different severities, and there are different options and treatments and things like that available out there for people based on what your skin is experiencing. So I hope this was an interesting topic, a little bit different from, I guess, some of the other skincare topics that we've been covering, but needless to say, it is a very important one. So that is all I have for this week. If you would like to meet more K-beauty lovers, don't forget to jump over to Facebook. Our Facebook group is K-Beauty Down Under, which you can either find by typing K-Beauty Down Under into the search bar, or also Style Story. Come and find Style Story on Facebook, and that is our Facebook group. Okay, until next week, I will see you on Style Story.